couple messages for the viewers, so pick a section, have a seat. Yeah, I know this is different. Quit with the questions. Allow me a second, please, to make my first impression.
YouTube, what's up? Welcome back to another 978 Customs video. And it's been a long time, I know. Comic-Con is finally over. Woof, what an experience. Positive and negative at that, but it was fun. And now we're back to some customs. And here we have Symbiote Wolverine from the Spiderman game Web of Shadows. I know some of you guys may remember this game, and some of you may not. I was one of those guys who did not play this game, I'll be honest. I didn't play this game. I didn't even know this Wolverine existed until maybe a couple years ago when I saw a few images of him. But I didn't get a chance to play the game, and so I wasn't familiar with it then. But the design of it was so cool that I had to retry and make it myself. Just a simple black and yellow paint job. I did want to add some blue shading to it, but I didn't, and I'll get into that a little later. But for what it is, I think it came out pretty cool. Wolverine, one of Marvel's most iconic superheroes, merged with Venom, one of Marvel's most iconic anti-heroes. And I will say this is an awesome design. Not to be confused with Venom vs. Wolverine, the black and white version. That's completely different. He was never featured in the comic this way. Hence, that was the Venom vs. Wolverine, or Logan. This was more for the video game, and I think exclusively for the Web of Shadows video game. But I do like the design, and I wanted to give it a go. And I'll even tell you why I made it, honestly. This body, if you're not familiar, is Omega Red. I was supposed to make a movie Venom from it, but I just didn't like the body for Venom. Just plain Venom. So I decided to make a Symbiote Wolverine. And I think I'm happy with this. But what do you guys think? I've never really planned on making a Symbiote Wolverine. But now that I have one, I'm actually really happy I went with it. I think the body is almost perfect. So again, this is an Omega Red body. If you guys want to make yourself one of these, all you need is that, a Venom head, a little bit of sculpt. And for the claws, I used Death's Head's boots. He has spikes on his boots hanging out from the side. Just clipped them all off and re-glued them onto some sculpt attached to his hands. I thought the Omega Red body would be better than using the Hyperion Venom mold. The more I stared at this Omega Red body, the more I saw Wolverine. It's almost like an exact Wolverine body, just bigger. If you compare this to any Wolverine body, you'll see that the proportions are very similar. The muscle cuts, the tone, it's all the same. It's just bigger on this body. In comparison to Venom, you can see that he is a little bigger and wider. And when I first had Omega Red in my hand, I was like, wow, this is a big figure. But everyone recommended I did Venom on Omega Red. And I didn't want to let anyone down, but I didn't want to do Venom. So I took this head and made this head with it. It's the same exact thing, just added some sculpt. I'm surprised that it fit on there well. I think the reason why also I needed to do Wolverine on this body was because the Venom head just looked very small on these shoulders. So I had to sculpt Wolverine's ears. I don't know what you call the parts on his mask that flare out that way. That made it look like it fit on his body more because his shoulders are so wide that a round head just doesn't do it justice. Switching the head to see if this head would work on a Hyperion body. I think you can do it too. I mean, of course you can. This head was designed for this body, but even with the extra sculpt on the sides, it does still fit. And I'll show you the Venom head on the Omega Red body. And this was my issue, just using a Venom head seemed a little small. It seems like his shoulders are about the size of his head. And so I didn't like that look for some reason. Just looking at it is odd enough. And maybe it'll work. I've seen another custom. Shout out to Tosh Customs. He pulled off a crazy movie Venom. But I think because of these shoulders are so wide, I needed something to complement that or to reach the same width. And I think Wolverine's head does it. On top of this body already being Wolverine times 3. So I think the head does help. I wanted to get this head casted, but it's not that serious. I figure I could do it again or do one better. It did take a little time. Honestly, preparing this body wasn't easy either. If anyone's going to work on Omega Red, good luck. That guy is not easy to work around unless you're going to take him apart, and it's tough. These claws aren't the greatest. I'm not impressed, I'll tell you that. Moving on. Here's some reference shots. Web of Shadows video game still that I snapped, and some more that I snapped. And you can see why I said I wanted to add blue. He has a nice blue shading over him, and I think that would have finished it I feel like Wolverine in the game is more monstrous, if that's a word. He's just more of a monster and maybe a little bigger than how I portrayed him. But I think the Omega body works well. Taking a Venom head with the tongue out, thinking I was going to use the eyes already, I sculpted around them and just made the ears and then sanded away, made those edges and ridges. But didn't like it, so I sculpted over it again completely and decided to just paint the eyes on, thinking that would do enough. I left the sculpt in the middle just to kind of give him some wrinkles. But I am happy with the way it turned out. Painted the teeth, painted the tongue. Some chrome yellow, in case you guys want to know, and some flat black. I did want to add some gloss shading, some blue, but just didn't get around to it. I started this before New York Comic Con, and I didn't get to finish it until I came back. By the time I came back, somebody offered to buy it. It was someone who buys a lot of customs, so I sold it. And that's the reason why I didn't get to add any blue shading to it. If it was still mine and in my possession, I would have added blue to it. But because I had to get it out so fast, I didn't get a chance. So next time, blue shading for sure. Also, those holes on his shoulders, I had some spikes because in the game he has some spikes coming out of his shoulders. I have 2 of them. I don't know what happened to one of them. They were Dev's head's skull pieces or something.
Oh, ha! Ooh, you want to see the claw? I show you.
No, don't do it. These claws, the claws aren't bad. It's what they're attached to. I had to add the sculpt on the hands, and I like sanded each of the fingers because if you know, Omega Red has these rivets around all of his fingers, and so his hands aren't that great. But everything does articulate, but just those claws, the hands don't look so great. I'm not gonna lie to you. Those holes are where the shoulder pads go, but I had the spikes for that. But you can move this figure around. Everything is functional. But I will say again, this body was difficult to prepare without like chopping it down completely. Those shoulders are a pain in the butt. The eye swivel, double jointed knees. You get the ankle pivot and ankle hinge. All the standard stuff. So it is fun to pose around. Those butterfly joints always make it just that much more fun to play with. And I think that's why I like Spider-Man figures, because of that butterfly shoulder joint. Painted all the yellow, trying to follow the game design as much as I can, but there was a lot of room to improvise. So if you're going to paint that, you just know you're going to improvise some of the yellow paint. So there is no wrong way, as long as it looks uniformish or good enough that you feel comfortable with it, I guess. I think this would be a fun figure for Hasbro to put out on a Venomverse wave, but I don't see it happening, honestly. It's easy, but it's a lot of modification to the Omega Red body, and I don't see it happening. But let me know what you guys think about this Wolverine symbiote. If you like this custom, if you wish Hasbro would make it, would you buy it if they did? Some of you were expecting another movie Venom because I said I had another recipe, and technically this was going to be it. So if you're expecting another movie Venom, it's not going to happen. This is what I was going to do. So we have Wolverine. I think it's actually better. Hopefully you guys are on the same page. But you guys let me know. It's all about what you think. I'm just here to present what I made. We have about 13,500 subscribers. So I appreciate everyone who has came out and hit that subscribe button. Also click that notification bell if you want to see more stuff. I'm going to make a webline tutorial soon. And I'll probably make a tutorial on how to make another Venom for you guys, because I didn't expect the monster movie Venom to get that many views. And so I'm going to try to make one live. Well, not live, but I'm going to set it up so you guys can see step for step in case you want to make your own. But that is it, YouTube. Again, I really do appreciate you guys coming out and sticking by, even though I'm not like an everyday uploader. It's hard to kind of create and upload every day. I should still find things to talk about Spider-Man related, but I just don't like jumping the bandwagon on what everybody else is doing. So, but if you guys like this video and you want to see more Spider-Man stuff, feel free to click like, comment down below your thoughts, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I actually like this picture a lot. I used it for the thumbnail if you guys don't know. Of course you do, you click the video. See you soon.
How-tos and tutorials, working with no vacations. Just check the notification and watch for the new vid, and be the first to write first. Who won? You did.
Man, these niggas.
I'm just telling the new kids how we do in this community. Unity proves this. We are all now connected like brothers and street neighbors. From old men to teens, together we screenagers, taking inspiration straight from the comic B pages. See Pound take notes, cause everything he see major.
Sing, sing.